Hey everyone, it's Frederick Kramer here, and in today's video I'm going to give you the full step-by-step guide on how to book hundreds of appointments for your SMMA, but it also works for other high-ticket businesses. I've done that myself multiple times over for multiple clients in multiple different niches, and also probably like double, triple hit this like industry standard sort of KPI in that spaces. And in case you don't know me yet, my name is Frederick Kramer and I'm on a mission to revolutionize productivity by helping agency owners double, triple, or quadruple the speed at which they get rich. I'm sorry for being like a bit out of breath, but I'm going to explain how that works right now. So, if you want to build an appointment booking system, first of all, you want to build a system, because if you don't have a predictable process, of course, you can't really scale that, and then it's impossible to like scale something that doesn't work in the first place. So you need to build a system, right? Then, of course, when you want to book appointments, you need to sort of get into contact with people, and there are multiple ways to do that. One of them is me making this YouTube video right now, even though it's probably not going to book me appointments right now because inbound takes like years to actually build up, but it's very effective. Don't want to distract from the topic. You probably want to do some sort of like outbound methods. So an outbound means that you like reach out to other people in some way, right? Now, you probably know your niche, and if you don't have a niche, you should pick one as soon as possible, because if you don't have a niche, then every single time you sign a client, you need to do something a little bit different, and you can't really build a process that's just the same time each time, and it's going to be way harder to scale your business. Now, if you have a niche, you should start making some research or to get in contact with them enough to understand on which platforms they are, right? And also, like, how is it the easiest to sort of contact them, right? Because if you're in the home service niche, I used to have a client in the spray foam installation niche. Finding these people's phone numbers was the easiest thing, right? Just go on Google Maps, look for like some spray foam installation contractors and just find their number. And right, like that's one example. But if you're, for example, helping fitness coaches or like lots of other businesses, the easiest way to actually contact them is to find them on social media. Fitness coaches, especially Instagram, but sometimes it's also LinkedIn or sometimes Facebook for the older folks, and or like Twitter maybe, or Reddit, or whatever. You could imagine anything. You could even do school. And sometimes it's actually the easiest to just find their emails, right? And you just need to find out what is the easiest or quickest to find, right? Because I used to build multiple email systems, and it took me way too long to scale them, because when I worked like sex, in German, you like the number 6 in German, you say sex, and sometimes I'm switching that up, I'm sorry. If you want to, so it like when you're working 6 hours a day, I could only send like 50 outreaches or something, because it took me like 5 minutes or to like, for the combination of finding the email, putting the lead into the CRM on average, and then like sending that email out. Of course, I didn't do that like for lead, like each time lead by lead, of course, but on average it took me like 5 minutes per outreach. And now, where I actually found out that it could be like way quicker a few months ago, of course, like it can happen within like 2 minutes or something, and suddenly you can send 100, 120 outreaches a day in the same time. And the volume is very important, so you need to find a platform where it's very easy to find the people, okay? And so now that you have a platform, you need to find a sort of conversion mechanism for getting the people to book an appointment with you, right? And no matter what the specific conversion mechanism is, it is the most important that you seem different than the other people, and also that you have a very good offer, right? The offer is the most important thing in your business overall, because people understand what you're actually doing. It's going to make you the most money, and it's also going to clarify how your delivery process actually works. And if your offer has a very good risk reversal, then it's also going to sort of stretch your abilities to actually deliver for your clients and make a product that's better than it would have been if you stayed comfortable, if that makes sense. And now it really depends on like these two things are the most important, and also of course authenticity. But then you need to sort of find a conversion mechanism, and there are different mechanisms sort of that you can have. Like some people just send a cold email and they ask like for some attention, and if people, like how it usually goes is you ask for some attention. If people give you that attention, then you send them like a VSL, or like 2-minute like video sales on the way, quickly explain how it works. This is exactly where the offer is very important. And if they are still interested after that, then they can book a call. That's how it usually goes. What I used to do is I built an email system where and I think this doesn't work anymore, because like if that was like the perfect thing, obviously I wouldn't have done something different after that. But I built an email system which had like a 3% appointment booking rate, or like 3.5%, meaning if I reach out to 100 people, then I book like 3.5 calls, and like 3 of them would show up afterwards as well, with the show rate that I had at that time. And so what I've done was that I've like written some email copy, and bit like what to actually write. I'm going to go like onto that as well. I've written some email copy, then I've made like a Loom script, so like a 2-minute Loom video, which was sort of like embedded into the email so that people could actually see the thumbnail. Then they would click on that, watch the video, and then after that they could book a call from like the Loom video on straight, like immediately, right? So that was quite easy. I actually didn't ask like for extra attention. I only had the sort of, of course you want to have like a good appointment booking rate, right? That's the goal of the system. You want to get, it depends on like the platform and the volume, but really you should be aiming for like 2 to 3% appointment booking rate. And if like all other systems in your business are working perfectly fine, you might even like do some more tests to see if you can actually get higher than that for more efficiency. But right now you just want to get it to like 2 to 3% and then like go on with the next thing. Because if you're having like some struggles with booking appointments, then chances are you probably also have some struggles with sales, or at least you haven't done like hundreds and hundreds of calls, so that you can't really say if you have like struggles with sales right now. Alright, so that's what you want to do. And you can do it like that, but when I did that, after some time, like the sort of environment of the system changed, and Gmail was way more like, how do you say, like sensitive to such like links and everything in the emails. And then it wasn't possible anymore to send them because nobody was actually seeing them, because they were ending up in spam. And the only way to not end up in spam was to not send these links. So I actually stopped with cold email at that point. And then I've done different things like cold calling, or like cold DM. And each time you just want to like get their attention first and ask if that's fine, right? So if you're doing cold calling, you just go to the people and say, like depending on your niche, right? You might say like, hey, is this like their name or their company name, whatever you find like first. If they say yes, and say, okay, I respect your time and I don't want to waste it. This is a sales call, so you could say something like that. Would you like to give me 30 minutes, 30 seconds, or and pitch you something, and then decide, or like to hang up now, like something like that. Of course, you need to word it like in a way where you can like say that with like flow and everything, which will immediately make you different from like all other people that have like some like standardized line that everyone else is having in the same niche. And then the people can either say no, and you just hang up, or they say yes, and then you sort of like get to the next stage. Same does it like the same does apply when you have like cold DM, right? You're just sending them a message if they follow you back, asking like, hey man, I don't want to waste your time. Here's like whatever you offer, right? So like very vaguely. It's probably going to help your business a lot, but I don't want to pitch it to you without you being actually interested in that. Send a thumbs up if you are, don't worry if not. Something like that. You send that to them, and after that you actually explain, like send them like a short video where you talk about yourself and your offer and what you can actually do. When you have a lot of case studies and results and everything, you actually don't need to explain the process. You just show them like the case studies and the like outcome and everything, and then you say, yeah, if you want to learn more about how this works, send me a thumbs up and we can book a call. This is the genius sort of like way to do that, because the people have no idea how it works and they can't criticize your process because you just show them case studies which actually prove that it works, and they sort of like need to schedule a call after that. But even if you don't have case studies, like I used to have, like for 70% of the cases when I've built these systems, I just made like very fancy slides and really made like the process like stupid simple, and made like sort of like on like Miro or like Google Slides, I made like some fancy presentations. They don't need to actually be fancy, they need to be simple, but if they look like very good and like someone has like put a lot of effort into them, then it's going to just convert better. And as it's an evergreen video that I don't need to like make every time, then like people can just it's just going to be more effective. So you might as well just put like 1-2 more hours of effort into that, if that makes sense. Because these people like these videos aren't personalized, right? Right, the like first sort of part is actually personalized, but after that it's not really. And of course, on a cold call, everything might be personalized. On a cold call, it's like you're probably not going to talk to them with like 2 minutes or something, because they don't really like sometimes people just like break your word, or how you call that in English, right? Like no, they start talking over you, and it's very, it just sucks to talk to people that talk over you, right? So you just want to keep it a bit simpler, so that they don't start doing that. And of course, it would be better if they didn't do it in any case, but you're just cold calling other people and interrupting their day, so you can't really expect like, too much there, if that makes sense. And also, people just don't like cold callers, or that they have like a worse repetition than just people like sending them DMs in most of the cases. And so that's why most people hate cold calling. But cold calling is actually very effective if you have a niche where you can just find like the numbers and you can book appointments pretty quickly. But it's just painful as hell, right? If you have ever done cold calling, you're going to find like cold email and cold DMs very relaxing, actually, because it's, the rejection you get from cold calling hurts like 5 times more than the one like from like cold email or like cold DM. If people don't reply, it's not like, oh yeah, fuck off or something, right? Like, people just don't reply, for example. And yeah, so you want to build that process. And after that, when you send them an email, if they are interested, they need to reply to you first, and they need to sort of have an interest in you as well after that. And then when they have done that, then you can send them the link. Or if you have sent them a loop video before to explain your process, then you can like have a link like from the loop video to your Calendly or something. By the way, just use Calendly because everyone's doing that. Don't use like Zoom Scheduler or something. Other of my clients used to do that at the beginning. And yeah, like on like a cold call, of course, you will just like book them in for a call and ask like for the details and everything. And on a cold call, you need to be very like cautious, because the show rate on appointments after cold calling is particularly low, because people didn't book the appointment themselves, right? On email and on like cold DM, it's way higher. So like on cold calling, it might be like 50%, right? So you book like 5 calls and maybe like 2 or 3 of them actually show up. On email, rather like 4 of them will show up, and cold DM will be also like 3 or 4 people. And yeah, of course, like on cold DM, you'll just send them the link. Now, the sort of like roughly like the steps of how that works. Now, of course, you need to have your own creativity to actually build that. And if I'm honest, the most effective way to actually go on with the system is to actually track everything, right? You need to know you need to know exactly like where, like how well your sort of system is actually converting and how well it's actually booking appointments. Because if you don't know what your appointment booking rate is, then how would you know whether you can actually scale your system, right? So you need to have a sort of tracker where you like track every single person that you reach out to, and then you track like every single day for like a specific part of the people, right? If you send like 1,000 outreaches, you don't want to track like 1,000 people every day, because it takes like 2 fucking hours or something. You just track like the people from like 2-3 days ago, something like that, and then you just track like, have they seen the video? Did they reply to you? Did they not reply? Or like did they reply and weren't interested? Have they like seen your message on that? Like, did you get to the gatekeeper or something? It depends on the platform, right? Did they watch your video or something? And then you like that's sort of like the first thing you need to track, like the sort of like interest metric. It really depends on like the like attention metric, right? So on cold calling, this will be like the rate of you speaking to the owner, for example. On cold DM, there will be the rate of people seeing your messaging, and on cold email, it will probably be like the open rate or something. Even though open rate on cold email, like tracking your open rate can lower your deliverability, but like cold email delivery, I personally just hated that, and that's why I like stopped using cold email at that point. Before that, it was working like fairly well, and I had like 3% appointment booking rate, and also like 2-3% for like other niches as well, like real estate and stuff, which is actually quite competitive. But yeah, and after that, you want to have a metric that, and by the way, like the sort of metric you have there, it also differs like way from like platform to platform. Like on LinkedIn, like people actually seeing your message after they connected with you should be really like 60% or something. Like I think it makes sense what I just explained. When you send people like a cold loom, which probably isn't possible, but you know, anyway, it will be like 15% will be really good. If you send them like a sort of like DM on Instagram, 20% engagement will be pretty good. If like all of them followed you back and you only message people that followed you back or replied, then probably also rather like 60% or something. So that's sort of the first part, and then it's about the actual like positive reply rate. So this will be like owners on, or like whatever, like CEOs on cold calling that were interested in hearing about your pitch or something. Sorry, I just got up like 2 hours ago or something. It's like in the morning anyway. So it could be that, it could be like people saying like, yeah, I want to hear about more about you on cold email or cold messaging. And that positive reply rate should be at like 5, 6, 7, 8%, something like that. Like if you have 5%, you're probably good. But if you have more than that, it's just going to be like easier to like get more appointments from there, of course. But it's still possible when you have like 5%. And from there, it's mainly about like booking calls, but especially like actually like engaging like with the call. It's like if you have positive, it's different from platform to platform. Okay, so on Instagram, you will send them a link if they are interested after them replying with some engagement, and then you'll have like a Calendly send rate. But on email, they will go like for the actual, you know, they'll book a call, and then you will track like that sort of rate like immediately. How much should they book a call? And on, of course, like on cold email, you have like one step less there, but therefore you have like the deliverability shit at the beginning and them like actually having to open your message and stuff. Okay, they also need to do that on Instagram, you know, but the platforms are like sort of different, if that makes sense. And also cold email is like way more expensive if you want to like get out with the volume, because you need to buy like different domains so that you don't get blocked. And yeah, cold calling is a different thing again. But on cold calling, of course, you're like sort of track like them being interested. And if they like openly say like that they're interested or start talking about, like oftentimes they don't say like I'm interested, they start talking about their problem. And then you can sort of like find like the pain point there. And then you need to sort of like say like, we can book a call for free and just chat about your problem and find out what your biggest bottleneck is or something like that. And then usually like if you have like some skill there and have done this for some time, it's a bit easier. Honestly, I just booked 2 calls with cold calling because my client ghosted me shortly after that. I don't know what happened there, honestly. But with email, like I built like 3 times I went to sort of like 1-2% appointment booking rate. And then when I did cold calling, he started ghosting me, so that I didn't get like much further. But that's sort of how I booked the calls that I have booked. And of course, I have no idea if they actually showed up because he didn't like tell me about that. He also didn't pay me for the appointments and stuff. So yeah, different, difficult time, I will say. And yeah, that's sort of the metrics. And then of course I have appointment booking rate. And now you want to get like each one of these like one after another into KPI, right? So like key performance indicator. And honestly, the best way to do that is to just have a coach who's reviewing you, like the messages. This doesn't mean like you need to go to me to review stuff or something. It could probably help in some niches, but just like as a general information, like if you have someone who's giving you direct feedback, it's going to be like probably like 3-4 times as fast to actually build a system, because you don't need to try everything for yourself. You just have another person that has some more experience that can just tell you know you need to change like this specific word in your specific copy for you yourself, and it's not like tailored to like 5,000 people but actually just to you. And then you know, okay, I need to change that. And then like the first time you do something, you're maybe at 2% appointment booking rate already, right? It's just way faster. Because if you have no idea at the beginning and you need to try to do like thousands of tests or something, then of course it's going to take you longer. Eventually you'll probably still get there, in case you didn't give up until that point, you know, but it's still going to be possible. I don't know what's going on, I'm sorry. Yeah, but it's just going to take you longer. So that's sort of how you do that. And then of course you just need to sort of like do split tests, right? You start sending like one version. So you build out like your entire like conversion chain. Then you send like 200-300 outreaches. Then you see, okay, what are the metrics here? And then you say, okay, like how many people actually engage with me? Does that match like the percentages that I just talked about? So like, for example, like media seen rate on like Instagram or on LinkedIn or on Facebook or something, or sort of like open rate on email, or sorry, it's crazy. I'm not going to cut that out, honestly, but yeah. Right, you want to have sort of like find out whether you are matching these metrics. If you do, perfect, because then you never need to change something again, and you now have a finished system that you could actually scale for getting people's attention, right? Of course, you're just getting their attention, you're not getting like positive replies, which will be like the next thing. So then you'll try to test out like different versions with like different tonalities, maybe different versions of like your actual delivery, different versions of like how long do you do something. Do you have a presentation? Do you not have a presentation? Do you do it like very like fast pace, or do you do it like a bit slower? Like do you speak formal English? Do you speak very like casual, like I'm doing right now probably, you know, because I'm not able to speak better English, you know, like these sort of things. Like you just want to like try them out, and then if like as soon as you find something that is like getting into KPI for like 300 outreaches or something, then you can sort of like move on. And then of course it's about actually them, like if they have like a positive reply rate, then it's about like the actual pitch, like your offer, and that your offer actually matters the most. And if you give them like a good insight into your process or case studies, then after that they'll probably be interested enough to like receive a calendar link from you. And then you also want to track that. And then of course the question becomes like, how many slots do you have in your calendar? By the way, don't open your calendar for like more than like 5 days or something, because if people schedule a call for like 2 weeks into it, like I never had a call scheduled more than 2 weeks into the future that just without any trouble has just taken place. Maybe once, but you like the show rate is way lower if people book like far into the future. That's it's just how it is, right? And you also want to have like a rather short like minimum notice, I think Calendly calls that. So that's like if someone is booking a call right now and minimum notice is set to like 1 day, the earliest time where they can book is like in exactly 1 day, right? So you rather want to have this at like 12 hours, 18 hours. If you really want to get distracted by Calendly notifications and want to change like your entire daily plan, you might as well set that to 2 hours or something. That's probably going to increase your appointment booking rate, but again, you also have other things in your business, and it's like way harder to scale if you just have like 2 hours of minimum notice. I guess that makes sense, right? And yeah, you know, like your calendar availability, you should be available at like many times for the people, so that they actually find like a time that works. Because if they don't find any time that matches with your schedule, of course they can't actually book a call, right? And then of course also your questions, like do you have way too many questions? Do you have qualifying questions even though you don't have like a full calendar right now? These sort of things can also improve that. And of course in any like case, of course it's about the actual like follow-ups, because follow-ups also probably double each conversion rate, like where you can send them, right? You don't want to send too many follow-ups when people never like interacted with you, but as soon as they did, you can send them loads of follow-ups. And some people of course are going to get angry, but we don't give a fuck about them, because it's still going to like make 2 or 3 times more people actually reply and engage with you and still book a call and still pay you at the end when you sign them or close them or something, right? So that's really important, like just send them, right? So this video was a rough overview for how to do that and on like different platforms. Like I said, I've done that on cold calling to like 1% appointment booking rate, on emails with 3.5% appointment booking rate, and also like 3% with a different system, and then also on cold DM to like 1% at the moment, but you know, I'm still working on that. That's my current sort of bottleneck as I'm making this video right now. And yes, like all sorts of other things as well in different niches as well, which like the most important thing actually is that you just do it once, right? If you just do it once and then you just scale, like this is the sort of curve. And I've just spent my time here just because, like, you know, like cold emails doing something, my client starts ghosting me, I decide to like change my business or something, or change my niche. Like this is like the actual problem, right? If you have something like built to KPI and then you have a good close rate and then you see, okay, I can actually deliver and stuff, then you can actually start scaling, and it doesn't take like much longer to actually do it after that, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's roughly how it works. By the way, if you want to scale an agency, but at the end of each day you feel like you could have done 10 times more, there's a link in the description where you can check out how it can help you beyond these videos. Doesn't matter to me really if you click that or not. What matters to me is what actually, is that your time is being saved essentially. So I just wanted to leave that door open. And also, if you want to have YouTube recommend you more of these videos, then feel free to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Wish you the best day that you could have, or like, I don't know, whatever you call that in English. You get what I'm meaning. I appreciate you watching this to the end. You need to build that system now. You need to find a niche and do like the things that I just mapped out, because probably in a half an hour I explained roughly like what every like high ticket person would tell you like in their overall course. And now you really just like need to sort of have your own like creativity, niche understanding to just build out the different things that you say in the scripts and everything. But if you have that, you're just going to crush it, right? So I'll see you in the next one. Good work.